Hi everyone, my name is Asya Branch. I was Miss USA 2020. And for those of you who don't know, Miss USA was crowned on, Miss USA 2022, shall I say, was crowned on Monday, October 3rd in Reno, Nevada at the Grand Sierra Resort. I was there to witness this competition. It was so great to be back. This is my first year back, not being on the stage, so that was really exciting. But I do just want to say, for those of you who may not know, if you have TikTok or you have social media, then you're probably somewhat aware of the allegations against the Miss USA organization, where it is being called rigged. I do want to just take a moment to congratulate Arbany Gabriel on her fantastic win. I think she performed beautifully. She is a strong and dedicated, hardworking young woman, and it's really unfortunate that, this is overshadowing her first few days as the new Miss USA, something that's supposed to be exciting and exhilarating, such an incredible feeling, has a lot of negativity wrapped into it. I will just say that these allegations, I don't believe were handled in the appropriate manner. When you have such serious allegations and something that is bothering you so much, I think the important and proper thing to do is to go into the initial source, go to the base of this issue first before bringing the public or outsiders into it. Because now we're all enthralled in this, what I consider chaos. And it's just simply not fair to the organization, nor is it to Arbany, because no matter how often you say this is directed at the organization and not at Arbany, if you're considering it rigged, then you're completely taking away from the fact that she was hardworking and dedicated and had her eye on the prize. I believe that, regardless of if it was rigged or not, she won on her own merit. She had all the potential and she performed beautifully, and the judges witnessed that. Now, I think moving forward, obviously because there is so much in the media right now, I'm not going to touch on all of the drama that is happening because I cannot simply speak on certain things that I was not there to witness. However, I will say that the first few days as Miss USA are isolating, they're challenging, it's overwhelming, it is stressful. And that's just simply without having any negative social media circling your name. So I know firsthand how challenging it can be to have so much negativity tied to your name immediately after you're crowned. It's not fun, and it just makes things a little bit more challenging. And so, my prayers do go out to Arbany during this time, because this isn't something that she should have to deal with. So Miss USA 2021, Elle Smith, did release a statement on TikTok sharing very similar opinions and viewpoints as myself, which I think is very powerful because both of us have been in this position. And Elle especially, I spent many times defending her win last year because she was very deserving. She was extremely well-spoken. She's beautiful. She commanded the stage, and the judges took note of that, and they enjoyed it, and they rewarded her for that, for her performance. And there were many times that I just would hear people say, oh, well, it was rigged because of X, Y, and Z. Well, we noticed that they did this, so they set it up for her to win. And I just did not see it. And I was just like, that's not true. I refuse to believe that because, one, where's the proof? And, a lot of frustration and anger does go into this because, yes, it is a time that you've looked forward to for most of your life, having this opportunity to represent your state at Miss USA. So it is really heart-crushing to know that, you don't walk away with the title. Yes, it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of emotions involved in that. And that's why I always say, never go to social media immediately following the competition. Give yourself time to sleep on it, to breathe, to, decompress before you take your frustrations to the public. Not to say that some things aren't validated, but there's certain ways that are better than others to handle these types of situations. While I wasn't there throughout the week to witness some of the other allegations being made regarding favoritism. I don't know, but I will say that with the Miss USA organization being based in Texas and with most of the sponsors coming from Texas, these are people that Miss Texas USA has also worked with. So she does have relationships with them. And so I'm sure that there were natural connections and conversations and a certain level of comfortability there as well regarding her and the staff or sponsors. But that is something that you also have to kind of keep in mind in the future as well, as far as the organization goes, with outsiders looking in. When I was competing for Miss Universe, and it was still, the Miss USA was still owned by MUO, the Miss Universe staff distanced themselves from me to avoid that favoritism, or that perspective of having favoritism towards the USA country. So I think that would be a smart move for the organization to take in the future as well. The next point I want to touch on is contract. So when I was competing, there was a clause in our contract that stated that the organization could select or change up to 8 of the top 15 or 16, I guess, contestants for the final night. And at the end of the day, they had the final say. So I wondered if that clause was still active in the contract, but to my knowledge, it is not still in the contract. And so that does mean that the judges would have had to pick the whole top 16. From my judgment, it seems pretty accurate. I mean, they showed clips of the girls' interviews, and I feel like they each had something powerful to say in those short clips. Now, I don't know what the rest of the interview looked like, but I think, to me, the top 16 selection did not seem handpicked by the organization by any means. Next point. The experience as a whole. There has been a lot of complaining, and there was even a comparison to prison. Now, I've competed in both the Miss America and the Miss Universe organizations. At the Miss America organization, even at the state level, there are strong security enforcements. You are not to leave your room by yourself, or actually, let me take that back, without security. You are very restricted as to what you can do because they are liable for you, and there are too many individuals for them to just let everyone free roam. They would never know where everyone is, and if anything were to happen, it'd be extremely hard to get a hold of the situation. So that is just strictly for security purposes, that you are not allowed to have the amount of freedom that you would in your everyday life. I will say my experience in the Miss Universe organization compared to the Miss America organization was a lot more laxed. We had a lot more freedom. Now, granted, my year was COVID in 2020, so we weren't allowed to go out in the halls and congregate. We weren't really allowed to be more than 6 feet close to each other unless it was with our roommate. So we didn't get to hug, we didn't get to do a lot of things, and I mean, we had a couple of activities and experiences that we were able to do in small groups, but overall, it was not the everyday Miss USA experience that obviously we had expected and hoped for, but you can't control a global pandemic. So I'm so grateful for the experience. The only downfall to me is not being able to really interact and get to know all of my sisters. But I will say that these last 2 classes have had it made. Now, there's going to be pros and cons with every single experience every year, but overall, they've gotten to go on a luxurious retreat to Cancun. They have gotten to interact with each other. They were able to do activities. Now, they say they weren't allowed to actually go outside and leave the resort, which is understandable because you're there for the competition and to put on a production show. And so the bulk of your time is spent in rehearsals, but I was able to witness from social media several different activities with sponsors, with the charities, Best Buddies. So there was a lot going on. There was a lot to keep them busy, a lot of activities for them to do, and we didn't have that. We didn't even have so much as a photo shoot our year because of COVID. With a year as strenuous as the Miss USA year is, it is so important to have a strong and supportive class behind you. And while they say, of course, that this is not towards her, it is absolutely 100% affecting her. And you don't know the pressure and the stress that this brings until you're in those shoes. So I pray that everyone will take a moment and, congratulate her for her accomplishment and her hard work, and cheer her on as she represents our country at the Miss Universe competition. And I pray that her class is able to rally behind her and keep her confident, strong, and in a mentally positive and safe space throughout the rest of this journey. So in closing, I do want to say that I do think the organization should release a statement of some sort. With so much chaos going on with it making news headlines, I think that they should at least acknowledge that they're aware of what's going on and they will address it at some point, even if it's not immediately, because this is something that you have to be very careful about when addressing as an organization. But I love this organization. I love the people involved. I think that, there's great potential here, but there's just some kinks that kind of need to be worked out. And lastly, I just want to congratulate our Benny Great Gabriel, our new Miss USA 2022. Welcome to the sisterhood, my love. We're so excited to have you, and you have represented so beautifully, and we can't wait to see what you do with your year.